So in 1983, the 10mm auto was born, and the Bren 10 was the only platform that was able to discharge the 10mm auto cartridge. Soon after, Colt followed with their Delta Elite, and so those were the only two platforms. Now the Bren 10 back in the 1980s was running at a retail price of $500, $1,200 in today's currency. Now those were the only two platforms that were running 10 mil, and it wasn't gaining a lot of speed due to reliability issues and other things that affect, and the price. But these two violent criminals ended up saving the day for the 10mm auto cartridge. In 1986, there was the Miami shootout with the FBI, where they were pretty much outgunned by these two violent criminals. And so they needed something to pack a little punch. So they adopted the 10 mil. Now the book-friendly version will tell you that the recoil of the 10mm was a bit much for your average agent to manage as far as recoil is concerned. So not long after, the FBI ended up adopting the 357 Sig and 40 Smith & Wesson. But the Special Tactics FBI team and the FBI's HRT team continued to utilize the 10mm auto cartridge. And from what I understand, there is an HK MP5/10 running out in the wild. How true that is, I honestly have no idea, but I've never seen one. But if there is one out there, that would be pretty dang cool. Now, in 2008, I'm sorry, the 10mm started gaining a lot more speed. And in 2015, Sig launched their P220 chambered in 10 mil. And fast forward to 2022, Sig released their X10, which is what we're gonna shoot. Now, as far as 10mm is concerned, there's only a handful of platforms that you're able to get your hands on as civilians out there. I thought there'd be a whole slew of them. Now, there's still plenty of options, but not as much as you might think. So, speaking of the X10, let's get out and start shooting.
So, due to windiness, I had to B-roll this film, and as you can see, we have 3 different platforms. All platforms are open and clear. Here's the cartridge we're all familiar with, the 9mm. That's you. And the 2 World War rating champion, the 45 ACP. That's her brother. And there's the guy she told you not to worry about, the 10 mil. So with the size comparison out of the way, let's take this out for a spin. The Sig X10. The most comfortable 10mm pistol that I have held to date. I know I've said it before, but if you haven't held one, this thing is really comfortable. Now let's go over the dimensions of the Sig X10. The overall length is going to be 8.5 inches from tip to butt. The overall width is going to be 1.3 inches, which is very surprising for a 10mm cartridge. And the overall height is going to be 5.6 inches. Now the X10 comes with a barrel length of 5 inches. There are other platforms out there with different sized barrels, but 5 inches is the sweet spot for the 10mm cartridge. So we brought out the Kimber Night Patrol. It also has a 5-inch barrel, and we decided to put this side by side just for another size comparison. Now, as far as the overall length goes, they're pretty much dead even. But of course, the Kimber 1911 is a single stack, so it's a lot thinner. And this is my Sig P320 X carry. As you can see, it's a couple inches longer than the X carry, and in the handgun world, inches matter. We also brought out a Glock 19 Gen 5, and we decided to put this up side to side, and I was actually surprised at how close the X5 is compared to the Glock 19. Now the extra length isn't too big of a deal for me when I carry, but you can definitely feel that extra width on the platform. Yes, the recoil comparison. Up first, we have the Glock 19 Gen 5, chambered in 9mm, and you can see that the recoil is pretty easy to tame. Up next, we have the Kimber 1911 Night Patrol, chambered in 45 ACP. And last, but certainly not least, the Sig X10, chambered in 10mm auto. Now, I don't know if anybody else can relate, but those first shots that leave the chamber are always a doozy. But after getting a feel for the girl, the follow-up shots are a lot more manageable.
So I have held the other 10 mils before, the Smith & Wesson chambered in 10, the FN 510, and the Glock. I forget what the Glock number. I know there's a million Glock numbers on there. I can't remember that, but I felt it. But this one has to be the most comfortable. The stippling on this grip module is more aggressive than the other P320s that I have. The super high tang on the beaver tail definitely is comfortable, and it allows you to have a very high grip. And this undercut right here, right underneath the trigger well, man, that thing just feels very, very good ergonomically, and it looks good. I know the FN and the Glock, it's the undercut isn't as pronounced, and that little bit of extra undercut in there makes the experience night and day compared to other X10s. So I can only attest to this one because this is the only 10 mil that I've shot, unfortunately. You know, all of this stuff comes out of our own pockets, and you know, we're kind of poor because of it. So I haven't had the chance to fire any other 10 millimeters, but this one, just by holding it, it feels a lot more comfortable than all the other ones that I've had the opportunity to hold. So as far as ergonomics, by far the most comfortable. I know the Glock is a bit bigger than your average Glocks, and it still has that box feeling in it. The Sig Smith & Wesson 10 mil, the Smith & Wesson Shield 2.0 in 10 mil, that one is longer, such as this. The FN 510 also has that box feeling, but I think that one would be another great shooting 10 millimeter because the stippling is super aggressive on there. I wouldn't suggest concealed carrying it, otherwise it'll irritate the skin. Now, Sig does not come without its flaws. It feels like they tried to cram the X10 platform into a very small package, as small as they could. And the reason why I tell you this is because we have a fully loaded mag right there, 15 round capacity. I'm gonna throw one in the pipe. All right, so we got one in the pipe, that weapon's hot. Gonna throw in another round in there to make it 15 plus 1, and come over here. It's really hard to get that mag in, so we'll go ahead and throw a round down range and see if it cycles. All right, eyes and ears. We have 15 rounds in the mag, one in the pipe, and I always carry +1. So every time I do have one of these on me, I always have a fully loaded mag and one in the pipe. And even though the mag is hard to get in there initially, I haven't had a cycling issue. But if the mag probably had like a little extended base plate on there, I don't think that would be an issue to get that mag in there with that +1. But it cycles fine. I've never had a mag fall out when I do 15 plus 1, but that's just something to be mindful about. We went camping for the holidays just like millions of other Americans do on the 4th of July weekend. And I gotta tell you, the comfort level that I had having a platform that shoots the 10mm auto was very, very good. I had a very good confidence factor carrying this platform around. I had some plus P 10mm ammunition capable of taking down some medium game. And I'm always cautious everywhere I go, whether it be in an urban environment or the wilderness. But we were out in some very, very desolate wilderness where there's plenty of wildlife and predatory animals out and about. But just having the 10mm on me while I was with my family made the holidays in the wilderness a heck of a lot enjoyable. So just not the X10, but the 10mm cartridge in and of itself is a big confidence booster when you're out hunting, camping, what have you, whatever activities you're going to engage in out in the wild. I love this platform and this cartridge because of that.
Now I know very few people's opinions have changed over a YouTube video. Glock guys are going to go with Glock, Smith & Wesson are going to go with Smith & Wesson, and Sig guys are going to go with Sig. But if you're looking for comfortability and how the weapon feels in your hand, then the Sig X10 is the way to go. But regardless of what platform you decide to go with, I hope that y'all keep training. I hope that y'all continue to be safe and look out for each other, and especially yourself. And don't be like this guy. Don't forget your ear pro. Until next time, guys, stay safe out there. It's getting crazy.
It's my fault.